Coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios in Hollywood, California, Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Avid, Recording Connection, Studio 202, Slate Media Technologies and Slate Digital, and Audio Technica.
The art of strings and a whole lot of other things. Gear Expo is absolutely popping. We've got winners. We've got a brand new ITL. It's a ton of fun, gang. You're at the place. It's Pensado's Place.
Hey guys, glad you dropped by. Gonna have a good time today. We're gonna learn a little bit today, so get ready for that. How you doing, Herbert?
Yeah, you often say like sometimes you have to have vegetables with your meat.
That's so weird. I was just thinking how to phrase that.
That's kind of what we're doing. I'm good. It seems like we are swamped and a bunch of exciting stuff. Don't you feel the same way?
Yeah, we're blessed because we always have something to look forward to thanks to your intellect and imagination and creativity.
It's not just me.
Gear Expo's turned out to be
pretty cool.
Great
team of folks working. Shout outs to Chevy, shout outs to Stephanie, shout outs to Chad. Folks are making this stuff happen along with me. So, why don't we get to it?
Let's do it.
Cool. Here we go again. Good to be hanging out with you. Hope your week went really well. Couple of weeks out from Gear Expo Nashville. The attendee list is growing fast daily in ridiculous ways. Smart folks are really taking this opportunity to come meet some of the best who've ever done it. Make connections, learn some stuff, see the best gear in the world, win things, have some grub, and flat out party. All this brought to you for free, by literally the best sponsor partners on the planet. Vintage King, Blackbird Studios and Academy, Audio Technica, Studio 202, Avid, Slate Digital, and Recording Connection. Do us a favor, guys. Support these folks. They go a long way to make sure you get plenty of opportunity. And pretty much what we try to do is make sure you get to have that opportunity for free. Pretty rare. If you want to come, and you should, if you can, go to gearexponashville.com, put in your email, and Saturday, September 27th, it's very simple. Hotfoot your buns to Vintage King Nashville around 10 a.m. for the best audio party going. Ladies and audio alert, you are a critical part of our community. We need your intellect, your perspective, your style and grace. Got to be in the place. So come class up the joint, come and hang out, learn some stuff. And one of the things Dave and I talked about, and I think this is a really good idea, we'd like to have a couple of you up on our panel. We want to take the sort of enthusiast ladies' perspective and see what your perspective is on going through and being a pro in audio or having a career in audio. So we'll be looking for you. We'll target a few of you and we'll bring you up and get your perspective. You often don't hear that perspective at stuff, so this one we want to do. Colleges, front and center, please, right here. Thank you, right here. Belmont, MTSU, Vandy, Tennessee State, Fisk, Lipscomb, SAE, Art Institute. That's in and around Nashville. Then you got all the incredible schools in Tennessee and in all the surrounding great states in the South and Midwest. Get in your cars, get to humping, come see us. We can't wait to see you. How about the panelist list? It continues to grow. Talked to F. Reed Chippen last week, a proud MTSU grad. He just worked on 11 nominees who got CMA awards. This boy is ridiculously hot.
One of my favorites.
Also a TV and film guy, a straight shooter. He's going to join us. We're working on somebody for folks who love the DJ space. We're not going to leave you out. We'll probably announce that next week. I just couldn't get it done by now. So we'll get that done. So all you DJ enthusiasts, EDM folks, make sure you're there. You want coverage? How about this for coverage? If you're into tracking, mixing, vocal production, songwriting, producing, live sound, DJing, management, artist development, strings, film, and TV, we got you covered. Very good, Dave. And better yet, these are the folks that got you covered. Jakir King, Justin Niebank, Leslie Braithwaite, Chuck Enley, Danny Rosenbaum, John Willis, Koo Carell, Ryan Hewitt, Matt Marr, Robbie Burrow, Dave Cobb. All these folks will talk to you about what I just talked about. We just had Gary Pexoza and Richard Dodd join us. All kinds of stuff there, known from Dixie Chicks and Tom Petty to Alison Krauss. Drummer extraordinaire Steve Jordan is going to do a live demo.
No joke.
Absolutely. John McBride and Stephen Slate will be at the wheel for that, which will absolutely knock your socks off. The Pensado Express Tour Bus will be taking you back and forth for exclusive tours of the legendary Blackbird studio. Manuel, the legendary clothier, he'll have his incredible creations there. And the word is, some of our panelists are going to get a little strong-armed into putting on a little fashion show in Manuel's gear. I'm just saying.
I got a question. Does
Yes.
the tour bus stop at Waffle House?
It does.
Good. I missed Waffle House.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to provide chicken on the bus, and you can go out and get a waffle, and you can have chicken and waffles. So will that work for you?
Well,
No.
chicken and waffles is a Roscoe things.
Well, not in Nashville. It's a little different.
Yeah, I like scattered, smothered, stirred, and covered.
Okay. Well, let me check into that.
Okay. It's a hash brown thing.
Okay, cool. I'll get it done. And finally, I can't say enough about all these supporting sponsors who are providing prizes and gifts for you. UA, Isotope, Ultimate Ears, Waves, Avid, McDSP, and more that you see right here. You see all those sponsors right there? Incredible. So thanks to all you guys from Dave and I, and thanks from for our audience. We really appreciate it. And Dave and I have a request. We want to meet you, take a flick, sign a poster, hang out, see what, get a chance to talk to the folks who've given us so much support so we can tell you how much we support you. This is going to be a ball, don't you think?
I know I'm going to have a good time.
I am too.
I'm going to actually pay. That's how good it is. So it is optional, but I'm going to pay. That's how good it is.
We are going.
I think this is worth $5.
At least. So
That should cover. No, I can't say that.
please don't. Now, here's how sensitive our sponsors are. Our avid friends know that not everybody's going to get a chance to go to Nashville, so they wanted to make sure they get some Pro Tools 11s away to those folks who can't come. So we had a huge response. Thank you for all that. This week winner is, drum roll, Merrill Johnson. Congratulations, Merrill. Good for you.
Cool.
And I'm going to make an executive decision if you don't mind.
No, don't mind at all.
Then rather than give one away next week, I'm giving 3 of these away next week. Let's get more people covered. So all you have to do is enter at pensadosplace.tv/avid, enter your email, make sure you like their Facebook page, and let us get you one of these boys. This boys will help your tools.
Just a footnote, Pro Tools 11 is like, there was a discussion about that a while back. No more.
Yeah.
Go, pull the trigger on 11 and everything involved with 11.
Cool.
You will be very happy you did.
Cool.
It's so efficient. It turns your computer into a new computer.
You heard that from the wizard.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And Dave, too.
Absolutely. 2 items for your calendar. Dave is going to be at the Blackbird Studio September 29th through October 3rd. Still a couple seats available for that. That's for their Blackbird Sessions thing. It's a deep dive where Dave is going to do his thing. Plus, those participants will be on a live weekly taping of Pensado. Our normal weekly taping will take place from down there. We're going to include those guys who come to the sessions, and they can either pose questions or we'll ask questions of them. Still a couple seats open, like I said. Hit Karma at theblackbirdacademy.com. That's Karma with a C. Cole will be down there with Dave, and frankly, he is a pretty incredible talent, and he's going to be part of it. They've also asked me to have a quick conversation and talk with everybody about how you build your career, make money, some of the ways that you can take these particular tools and make a living for your family. So all the Pensado team are hands on deck for the Blackbird session. Again, a few seats open. Hit Karma, and love to see you there. Another data point for your calendar is the AES convention, October 9th through 12th. This is a revitalized organization. It's going to be really hip and fun. We are humble. Pensado's Place is the focus of their platinum panel, and we're going to kind of turn the table on ourselves. That panel is Friday the 10th from 2 to 4. There'll be some key announcements during that panel, and we're going to have some fun, and we want to see you there. You'll get a chance to ask some questions and rake Dave and I over the coals if you want. Then the next Saturday, Friday, we're doing the Platinum panel. Saturday the 11th, we'll be at the Audio Technica booth at 1 p.m. Going to be part of a Reddit Q&A. It's a Ask Me Anything, I think it's called AMA. And we'll be introducing you to some sexy beasts coming out of the Audio Technica house. You got a chance to play with them.
Yeah, Cole and I played with the new 5045s.
Yeah.
I might add serial number #000.
Nice.
And man, we put them through everything, and they work on everything. We put them on some overheads, and we were amazed at what they sound like on overheads. We tried everything with them. Some acoustic guitars. They're really good. Cool looking mic.
Good looking mics.
Audio-Technica, man, their quality, their build quality is. Because they've got a couple of affordable things in their line, that doesn't mean that they don't have both ends of the
spectrum cover.
Well, no, just like a young cat coming along trying to build up a mic collection. They've got something for him, and then the seasoned pro that This mic, I think, is a mic for everyone. It's just a wonderful microphone.
Speaking of Audio-Technica, this is always a sign of, when people who are in the same category you are recognize your work. I had a meeting yesterday with our friend Wes Dooley and at the AES folks, and he was talking about how good the design team at Audio-Technica was, and he had gone back there and met with them, and that's kind of nice. That says a lot. So you're going to love their new products, guys.
I want our audience, guys, go to their website and research a little bit about the rectangular diaphragms that they use and the advantages of that, and it'll open your eyes up to not just what good mics these are, but some of the innovative things that they're doing too. It's a way to get the same amount of square area as you would with a round diaphragm, but in a different container and does different things and has different advantages. Pretty cool stuff.
They think it through, absolutely. So come join us at the Audio-Technica booth on Saturday, the 11th at 1 o'clock. We'd love to see you there. And the really good folk at AES, if that ain't enough, they're giving you a special VIP code so you can get in for free. You can go to all the displays, all the exhibits, all the workshops for free. Here's what you do. Register at aes.org/Pensado, and you are in. It's just that simple. Register, you're in. An amazing offer, again, from a revitalized and cool operation. Very cool people. And finally, before we get to the ITL, I think next week we'll have some news about the Pensado papers, and we'll talk about that next week. Kind of cool, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, a lot going on. So let's get to it. Dave, our ITL.
Oh, I want to show you guys how to get your vocals up front in the mix and get them in your face, and various and sundry other techniques that I like. Hey guys, Philip Bailey is one of my favorite singers ever, and I'm so blessed to be able to work with him. Recently, I've been mixing a Christmas record for the guys, and I just wanted something special for Philip. Not that he needs it, but I just wanted to bring something to the table that kind of enhanced his incredible vibe and talent. So this is what I came up with. I'm gonna share it with you. This will work on all vocals. I'm gonna show you this not so much because I'm showing you a technique, but I'm showing you a philosophy as much as anything. In other words, we wanted to get the vocals special. So let me play you what I started with.
Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Okay, let me try that again. If you're editing, don't use that one. Okay, let me show you what I started with.
Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Okay, now, sounds pretty good. It's recorded extremely well, as a matter of fact. So I put a little EQ on it. And check that out. Now, one of the things I did was, I felt like Philip should have an incredible compressor, one that was kind of transparent, but that kind of leveled things out. So this output 3 is going to my Shadow Hills Van de Graaff. So, and then I'm adding a little bit of this guy. This is Dave Hill. What we're doing is we're adding a little bit of bottom with this.
Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Okay, let's do this.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. 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 Time to...
Remember how we always love to work in this mid-range to get it in our face. Now, oh, my little buddy Chris, can't forget about Chris.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Now, I was pretty happy with that, I put some effects on it. Now this is a Bricasti reverb. This is a slap I've shown you before. This is a spring I've shown you before, and this is a parallel vocal compression chain I've shown you before. But let's check it. Let's check it now.
Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Okay, you can't hear any of it because what I'm doing is I'm sending this plug-in. I'm sending this send right here over to here. So it's coming in here. Oh, you know what, guys? I forgot. I'm also paralleling it into Nectar. Let's try it without the Nectar first.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. 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 Time to bring some joy, y'all.
I've shown you this. Now here, this is Nectar. Here's the preset that I'm using. Actually, this is one I made up. Let me go through it real quick so you can see what I'm doing. Now this is a parallel chain. A little bit of noise, that's okay. Sounds like the ocean. And then I felt like I needed a little bit more, so Cliff Mogg's helping us out over at Mog EQ. That's pretty impressive just by itself. Watch this.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Okay, now going back again, here's where I'm sending over to here.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time.
Now, here again, I've shown you this. I've got a compressor going into a limiter. Let me show you what I'm knocking off on both.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all.
So it's keeping the level kind of constant. I'm gonna show you this max bass, and then, man, don't ever sleep on this particular plugin. Now let me show you what it's doing.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Now, if you want a little more extra, that was a great sentence. If you want a little more bottom end, you can play with this max bass. If you come over here to the presets, you'll see my name, and then right here you'll see vocal. I just started there and then just tweak it.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. 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 Time to bring some joy, y'all.
Okay, now let's bring the Nectar back in.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. Time to.
Good grief. Man doesn't need anything at all.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. EWF, come on.
He doesn't need it, but sometimes we do things as engineers just for the fun of it. Okay, one more time, guys. Here's without everything.
Time to bring some joy, y'all.
And with it.
Time to bring some joy, y'all. EWF, come on.
Okay, look for this record. It should be out real soon, but if you notice, what we've done is we've changed a couple of things EQ-wise, but what we've done is we've enhanced the energy. We didn't enhance the energy, excuse me. It was already there, but we shined the spotlight on the energy and his vibe and his feeling. So it made him come forward, even though we got some effects to make him sound big. And this is a Christmas record, so experiment with this. It's a good. It kind of shows you that it's a building process. I kept hearing little small things that I wanted to have happen in the sound and in the way it sits in the track, and so just kept building little by little. I probably have a little bit of overkill, but that's okay. I like it, and I think it sounds great. Okay, guys, next time.
Any music lover really knows that there are certain times you're listening to a song and some of the supportive elements in the song really define where you're going to go, set mood and emotion and so on and so forth, whether it's pads or embellishing things or matching other instruments or doubling or tripling sounds. And a very powerful tool are strings. And those who know how to do it literally can make the difference between something being boring and something being exclusive. And we got a master in the house, Eric Gorfain.
Hi, Herb.
How are you, man? Thanks for coming.
Hello, Dave.
Eric, what's up, man? Good
Thanks
to
for
see you
coming.
again.
Let's
Thanks
jump
for having
into
me.
that.
Eric, when you're given a song that someone wants strings on, how do you go about the process? Where do you start?
I start by listening. Ultimately, it's going to be about ears, and I try to listen to the song as much as possible. I'll even drive around listening over and over again sometimes, humming parts to myself, coming up with ideas. But when I take it into my studio, I use Logic. So I open up in Logic, and I have, I again, keep listening. I play along on my violin, oftentimes, to get ideas, just kind of jam. Other times I sit down at the keyboard and I'm playing parts that way if I hear them in my head, trying to come up with counter melodies or chordal stuff. But that's kind of the process, and then it just kind of winnows its way down to an actual arrangement.
In a weird way, don't you have to sort of, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, you tell me, don't you have to sort of stay open emotionally and let that be touched? If a string sort of speaks to you in such a way, it may speak inside the song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately it is about emotion, and what the strings and what any instrument really is trying to do in a pop song is to find the emotion that's inherent in the lyric or in the music. The producer or artist I'm working with will often give me direction, and whether they're specific ideas or whether they say they want it orange or purple.
Right. You
Sometimes
interpret
there's that.
Yeah.
But generally, strings are usually expected to bring a lot of emotion to a song, to an arrangement, a band arrangement.
Do you ever find yourself restricted and constricted by the synth strings that are already on there?
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes I'm given a complete blank slate to work with. Sometimes they do have an idea that they have put on synth strings that even just a keyboard part, saying, "Hey, we want the strings to play that part." So, incorporating. I actually like incorporating other people's ideas because obviously they have been working with the song longer than I have. They have a vision. At least I hope they have a vision.
Right.
By that point. And I think, I mean, there have been times where I've been restricted, as Dave said, by they're so close to their vision or they're so inside what they've already done that they want to keep it that way. But most of the time they're open to ideas, and they're usually not super well versed with the flexibility or the capability of string instruments and the different sounds we can make. Not just a nice bow drawn across a string.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So the answer is, generally speaking, no. I'm not usually restricted by that. I can use that as a jumping off point.
I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. It's a sincere question, but what is it that you can accomplish with a string part performed by players as opposed to going in and just using a string synthesizer, plug in and do that?
Well, I mean, it's the difference between humans and robots building guitars or violins or anything else. I mean, it's the human aspect, the human element can't be replicated. I mean, I really believe that at the end of the day. Since, the quality of samples has, exponentially leaped forward over the years, and there's a lot you can do with it. You can sit there for hours and hours programming a synth to maybe get close to what real players can do in an hour.
Right.
But I just think at the end of the day, it's human versus machines. I think it's the emotion, the heart, the nuance, the articulations, the bowing articulations, the dynamics can just be better performed by humans.
I often find, just as somebody who loves music, that in your question, the human element, which I think is I'm just coming up with a word that sums up what all you said, but there's a character to the human element that is even that smallest nuance, because you can try to program character into synth stuff too. People are smart that way, but there's just and sometimes it's almost the mistake or that kind of signature that's imperfect that makes you go, oh yeah, that.
Well, if you listen to stuff like the Motown stuff from the '60s,
Yeah.
I actually did a project about a year ago where we were doing covers of those songs, and they wanted me to take down the original string parts, so they sent me the isolated strings.
Wow.
Which was amazing.
Wow.
It was really great to hear, like "Ain't No Mountain High Enough"
Oh,
and
God.
that kind of stuff. Heard it through the grapevine. The out of tuneness of those performances
Was
are
stunning, I bet.
astonishing.
Really?
But you put it back into the mix, and it's just like it's butter. I mean, it just sounds perfect.
Wow.
So there really is something to be said for the mistakes.
Yeah.
And again, it's not just strings. It's a vocal performance. It's an acoustic guitar performance. It's whatever. It's a guitar solo. I mean, how many guitar solos were just one takers?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you prefer to conduct the orchestra yourself for your parts that you come up with?
Well, with the Section Quartet, we rarely have a conductor. Sometimes the producer will, if there's a tricky timing thing or something, they'll help us out. But generally speaking, we're unconducted. But I do lead as leader of the group. I kind of there are times.
If I were to conduct and I did this, would they do something different?
Well, we'd laugh first.
Okay.
Right. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Show me a couple moves.
Well, the 4/4, the basic 4/4 time is this way: 3, 4. Okay, and then
do that again. Do it.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Yeah. And then now I'm not a conductor, so I'm not gonna claim to be super great at this. But then when you want to count in 3, it's 1, 2, 3.
For a
So it goes
waltz or something?
for a waltz. Yeah.
Oh, you go the
exactly.
other way.
Yeah. Instead of the.
So does the last thing
two,
always up?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
And
1, 2,
how
3,
do you
4, 1,
how do
2,
you
3.
signal that the bassoon player missed his part?
Hey, whoa!
No, that's the urban way to signal. Sorry.
Actually, nobody ever knows if a bassoon player missed his part because
They just don't care.
yeah.
How do, like when you're playing in an orchestra,
Yeah.
how do you hear yourself to know if you're in tune or not?
Well, I grew up playing, I'm classically trained. I don't play in orchestras as much anymore by choice. But when you're inside, we talked about this before, and I was trying to think of a way to describe this, but it's kind of like being inside the music. So when you're sitting inside, it depends on where you're sitting in the section, in the string section. But when you're sitting in the middle of it, for example, you really do feel surrounded by everything. And so you can hear yourself because the violin is right under your left ear.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty close proximity
Right.
to what you're trying to hear. But you do have to develop a kind of listening because sometimes you have to be listening to the piccolo player. Sometimes you
Right.
have to be listening to the bass section. I mean, there are, and you have to be listening to the intonation of your section.
That's where I was going to go, because we're heading to Nashville, as you know, and one of the things, our last trip, we're close to John and Stephanie Willis, and John is one of the really known guitar players. And we've had a few folks on, and they have delved into sessions and the way they approach sessions there. And so much of that is knowing how to play with each other, where to get out of the way and let a guy do his thing, and so on and so forth. And it just becomes this beautiful piece of teamwork, kind of. Is that metaphorically about the same thing that you're describing?
Absolutely. Well, I've had the Section Quartet now since it started in 1998, but this lineup essentially has been together since end of 2001. And we do work as a team. I mean, we're a family in many ways too.
Yeah.
But we do work as a team, and kind of we know how each other works.
Yep.
And we know how to how to support each other, how to let one person take over, and if it calls for that.
Right.
And we keep things pretty equal. So.
And it's a shorthand, isn't it? Like
a complete
while you're
shorthand.
playing, you can just look at somebody and they know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we work with we get to work with a lot of the same producers over and over again,
so
and
they know
artists.
you.
So that shorthand gets developed as well.
Yep.
Let me shout out the other members. In fact, this is the same lineup that played Coachella a couple of years after it formed. Daphne Chin on violin, Lauren Chipman on viola, and Richard Dodd on cello. What was it like playing the main stage at Coachella in '06?
It was loud.
You guys are loud.
We are loud. Well, the first time we played Coachella was 2004, and Radiohead was headlining that night.
Yeah.
We opened the day, And somehow I said today we're the loudest string quartet on the planet, which felt like it because I could hear it bouncing off the hills.
Wow.
It was pretty incredible. The strangest thing though is that we're on an 80-foot stage, and we're a string quartet, and you know how Led Zeppelin used to always kind of congregate around the drum riser. Well, we were trying to do something just to give it a little more space. So, I mean, I was at least 60 feet away from Richard, our cello player.
No joke.
And so that was a little odd. We really had to rely on monitors that day.
Wow.
But it was a lot of fun, and the audience was really nice to us, and we had a great time.
For you guys that aren't familiar with Eric and the string quartet,
The Section Quartet.
the Section Quartet, they're known for give them a call, they'll come and just hip up your song, but they also do, I don't know what to call it. They're not really covers. They're your own interpretations of like one of my favorites is they did Dark Side of the Moon, start to finish. You got to check this out. They've done Radiohead, Nine Inch Nails.
I got to get that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God. Oh, hold on. Juice Box, The Strokes is something that you've got to listen to. In fact, let's talk about that. How did that come about when you did?
We were making a record for Decca Records at the time.
Fuzzbox was the
name of the record, yeah. And Linda Perry produced the majority of it. John Bryan produced a track that was on the record and did a bonus track as well. But Linda Perry did a majority of the record, and we had a whole list. We had about maybe 30 songs we were choosing from to select for the record. And Juicebox was something that Daphne Chen selected, and we started putting it together, and Linda was great in helping us kind of create this kind of otherworldly string quartet sound. I think with some of the stuff she was doing, I mean, it had never really been done with string quartet before.
Linda's a genius.
She's amazing. And so what we did was we actually first built a rhythm track. We played the rhythm track. We basically became the drum kit. So Richard played a kick drum, basically, played the role of a kick drum.
Nice.
I was the hi-hat.
Did you guys film this?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think we did.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Keep going. Please.
At the time, our former violist, Leah Katz, was the tom-toms, and Daphne was the snare drum. And we basically played and played and played and just played this loop over and over again. And she recorded the whole thing, found the best bits, and then sent us away for about an hour and a half. And she treated it and came up with this crazy, heavily compressed thing that just gave it more rhythm and more propulsion and more percussiveness.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, as our click track, basically, as our rhythm track, we played the rest of the arrangement on top of it. So, and most of it was after that. I think the take was pretty live. It was.
The drums have to be the hardest thing to kind of compensate for, because that's what. Well, I guess guitars too, because guitars define rock and.
True. I mean, what I always say is, we're removing the drums, we're removing the vocal and the lyric, and those three things are really, at the end of the day, they really bring out the emotion, even in rock music. I think, the guitar can bring out the power, perhaps, but the rhythm, are you moving? Are you tapping your feet? Are you dancing? Are you whatever? And of course, the lyric and the melody and the sound of the voice, the vocal performance is crucial. So that's all our challenge whenever we bring a new arrangement to the quartet. So we do try to keep the rhythm very much in mind when we're working on a new arrangement.
One of the things, and I'm not being critical, the stringed instruments don't go from 0 to 60 quickly. When you pull the bow back, if you pull it back in time, you're going to slide into the beat a little tiny bit late. And when you guys play, you can see it in the girls specifically. They jump the beat, and their body movements are telling you they're not coming in lazy. They're coming in, and that's what I like a lot about you guys.
Oh, thanks.
The Zeppelin song on Fuzzbox.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah, Heartbreaker. That's my favorite. Had you already toured with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page when you did that, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you ever find out what they thought about it?
I was afraid to.
It's really good.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I toured with them in '96 on their Unleaded tour, the first reunion tour they did, and when I came back about a year after I came off of that tour, I started doing these rock arrangements, and we did a bunch of Zeppelin, and Heartbreaker was one of them that I had to learn the guitar solo.
Wow.
You know, so
Yeah.
so it was worth putting together.
It's amazing.
Cool.
Oh, thank you.
You guys gotta go to YouTube and look up some of their videos. It's going to change your life. In fact, it changed your mom's life. He actually went the other direction with his mom. She fell in love with, was it a Nine Inch Nails song?
I think it was Radiohead. Yeah,
Radiohead?
I think it was OK Computer.
She liked his version and then started listening to Radiohead.
Oh,
not the other way around.
That's great.
Isn't that
That's
kind of
fabulous.
cute?
Absolutely.
We're multi-generational.
Absolutely, to say the least.
Actually, that's true. One of the best shows we ever played, and it was one of the best audiences down in San Diego, and it was kind of a festival, a modern music festival, actually. And the audience ranged from literally 6 years old to probably 80 years old.
Wow.
And they just, we got a great reaction. We were so fortunate. And
Wow.
they just loved, because we do, classic rock, we do modern rock, we do, 80s stuff, we do all sorts of stuff. So.
I noticed that you've got a credit with Dr. Dre. I tend to not think of strings and hip hop as being something that I would hear a lot, but Dre is a very inventive cat. What happened on those sessions?
We've done several with him, actually. The first one we did, it was, he would actually just have us play, and I wrote some melodies, and some basic like little basically loops to play live. And then that would, it was kind of more of a jumping off point in the studio, and we would just start playing and improvising off of that. And he would record everything and kind of cut and paste what he wanted to use.
Was he real hands-on about?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The best part was when we hit something that he liked, you could see him in the control room, just arms up in the air, just jumping around. And you knew that, okay,
That happens a lot at classical concerts, doesn't it?
all the time. It should happen more. It probably did 150 years
I
ago.
thought he was going to reward you with gin and juice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there is that. There's
Or
the table.
chronic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's
exactly. Or
the
chronic.
snack room.
Absolutely.
But then again, we did something that I won't go into too much detail because it hasn't come out yet. But something for his own solo project about a year ago, where I was so fortunate to be able to bring Al Schmidt in to record a string section. Yeah,
Al's our
it was a
guy.
larger ensemble, but yeah,
how cool is that?
yeah. So
Oh, I hope that comes out.
I do too.
Yeah, that's special.
It
That's
was a
really
cool
special.
little moment that should it come to fruition would be really amazing.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
For someone watching the show and then they go and look at some of your videos and they go, you know what, this classical stuff's not too bad. Where should they start if they don't really have any exposure to classical music?
To classical music.
Yeah, don't say Bach. I'm not a big Bach fan. Don't start. Bach will make them commit suicide. It's proven. It's scientific. Where would you start them?
Well, my core was always the Romantic period. So, late 1800s, Mendelssohn, some Wagner, I guess. Beethoven maybe is on the earlier side of that.
Yeah, no Wagner. Skip that.
Yeah, but stuff that would, but
Too heavy.
what people will find is that a lot of that influenced the modern day film score, and so they'll hear echoes.
John Williams.
John Williams. All these guys, have been influenced by that. And that's because it's even in the early part of in the 40s when the film industry was really exploding. All those composers were all European trained, heavy classical composers.
Wow.
Bernard Herrmann, all those guys.
Yeah.
So I would start there, but then into the 20th century, we talked about this. Copeland would be a great place to start.
Yeah. Fanfare for the Common Man's a good Aaron Copland to start with. I like that. I think it's accessible and it's also inventive. It's modern.
And it's got a pop sensibility to it. That's why.
In the sense that it has melodies, yeah.
And the harmonies are interesting. And ELP did they covered that years ago, right? So it was that era I think is definitely something that people can hang their hat on and get inside the orchestral world. Then you can go a little crazier, like with Bartok or Schoenberg or
Mahler.
Mahler, stuff
Mahler
like
6 is a good one. Rockers tend to like Mahler 6, I think.
that. Yeah.
It's got that dissonant kind of almost. I don't know how to sound it. It's got a heavy metal evil sound to it.
Yeah. And there's the Devil's Trill,
Oh yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
stacking minor thirds.
Yeah.
I know this is a rudimentary question, but I forgot because I never really pay attention. But like if you bow a violin, so you go.
Yeah.
So if you've got
That's exactly how it sounds.
if
actually.
you've got well, I went Jean-Luc Ponty on you, a little electric.
You did actually.
Yeah.
If the piece requires that you go like a 4-bar note, does a fourth of the orchestra go, and then the next group, and the next group, so that the sum of that's just one long note? How do you get a long note with a bunch of stringed instruments?
That sounds like a beginning of a joke. But
No.
I
I was just sitting here thinking,
Yeah.
like
You're close. You're close.
like a
Really?
horn, you can play
Yeah.
a long note, but you have to divide the orchestra up into, no pun, sections, and then have each section start a different spot in the bar.
Right.
Is that-
Well, no, actually, with strings, we start together, but we change at different times.
The
So
direction
we
of
change
the
the
bow.
direction, and that basically, in the context of a large group, it smooths out, and you don't.
don't
In
notice
theory,
it.
you don't hear the bows changing.
And in the composition, is the bow direction written for you, or can you
Sometimes.
or can you decide which direction to bow?
Well, bowings are very important for live performance because it's how you're looking at the
Maybe
orchestra.
a smart ass, but it's kind of important all the way around.
Well, no,
Without a bow,
well,
you can't hear nothing.
It is. I was getting to that.
Right.
For when you're looking at it, when you're watching a performance, obviously to have uniform bows looks beautiful.
Oh,
it
it
looks
does.
orderly.
Yes.
It does.
Now there are musical reasons for having things bowed a certain way and articulated a certain way. In the studio, obviously you can fudge things a little bit if you just happen to make a mistake,
Right.
in the bowing, sometimes you learn how to diminuendo on an up bow. Which is to get quieter
Sure.
while you're playing an up bow, which typically you get louder playing an up bow and get quieter playing a down bow, just from the laws of physics.
Yeah.
But you learn how to do the other,
okay.
you do them backwards, just in case you got stuck doing something and you're on a take, and you gotta
Right.
survive, right?
Wow.
So
Does the triangle player make as much money as the first chair violin? And people will notice stuff, don't they, Herb?
in a perfect world, yes.
Really? That's a
well,
strong union.
Well, actually,
And it's an incredible player. Like
Well, yeah.
a triangle player. This is LeBron of triangles.
what I would say is there probably, and I could be wrong about this, I'll get email about this, there probably isn't one triangle-only player in the world. Like a triangle player is a percussionist,
yeah.
and they're playing multiple
That's
instruments, and they probably do at the end of the day, if they're recording, they
I
get
was just
they get
kidding. We don't have to get
different-
too serious about this.
But Arnold Ferndale down in Mississippi, he's a solo
Ed Grimley, Ed Grimley,
triangle.
right?
He's his cousin.
It's degenerating, and we're talking about something so beautiful and scholastic, and
Well,
I've
speaking of
managed to
beautiful-
ruin it again.
Well, no, speaking of beautiful, I think, look, at some point in time, and we'll do this off air, whether you're rehearsing or preparing for something or whatever, I'd love for us to talk about shooting your process and utilizing, doing an ITL or something on it, because people don't get a chance to see that and have it explained the way. It's one thing to go to YouTube, it's another thing to...
Well, and I think strings.
Absolutely.
I think strings, the use of strings in a rock setting or pop setting intimidates people who aren't accustomed to using them. And one reason I did start the Section Quartet many years ago was to not be that intimidating force. And we're friendly, I think, and
Oh, you
we're
guys are
we're laid
easy
back,
to
and we're
work
just
with.
trying to.
Easy
Thank
to
you,
work
yeah,
with.
thank you. But that was a conscious effort and move, to make. But I think that it does intimidate people, whether it's the artist or even the producer, or sometimes the engineer. Engineers are always game, I've found, but sometimes the artists they don't know. It's like, can I ask them to play this way? Can I ask them
Right.
to change something? Is that
Right.
okay?
Right.
And it's like, of course. I mean, we're there. We did a session the other night with Ryan Adams, and he literally was just singing us a part. And then and then we're like, okay, well, Richard, you play the progression, and then Lauren, Daphne, and I were going to play the melody that Ryan just sang, and we'll try that, and it kind of worked. And then actually there was a moment where there was a little discrepancy between the way Daphne and I played the rhythm of this melodic line, but he goes, oh, it sounds like a delay. It's cool. Leave it in. I'm like,
There you go.
okay, that's the part.
That's
So
the
the
character.
mistakes, the character, yeah.
You went Motown on it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd be remiss if we didn't take this opportunity to discuss tuning with you, because I think the world thinks that there's only one tuning and it's either right or wrong. I don't think people understand that tuning is not a specific frequency, that tuning changes within a song that changes depending on various factors. Let's don't get too deep, but like on a violin, you've got the ability, because you're not restricted to keys on a piano or frets on a keyboard.
Right.
You manipulate the tuning quite a bit as you play. Can you break that down? Is it a function of everybody's heard the well-tempered clavier, and then today we use an equal-tempered scale. So what that means is we're trying to pack 12 notes into a specific amount of space, but there's a logarithmic formula to where they don't all have the same distance between them. So that's open to interpretation. And then in the Arab world, we divide ours into 12. They might divide an octave into 24. And this new kind of fad to discuss A440 or A432 or 442, what's your thoughts on that? And give me a little bit of an explanation of how tuning is a function of creativity and not mathematics.
Well, first of all, Herb promised me there'd be no math today. So
Okay.
Ultimately,
just ignore that question.
No.
Yeah.
I said it earlier, but at the end of the day, I think ears matter more than math in music. And I'll probably get email about that.
Well, don't send it to me.
Okay.
I'll handle the uneducated bastards.
But things need to sound right and feel right.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it's perfectly in tune or it's mathematically correct. Having said that, our goal is always to be in tune, in time, and to make it be as accurate as possible. The violin is tuned in fifths. We have it's G, D, A, E, low to high. We usually tune the A first to 440 in America, and then go from there and tune in fifths by ear the other strings. There are times where it can be really tricky that everyone is exactly in tune, especially with a larger group. Things kind of mush together and even out. With a quartet, it's pretty naked because we're all there's just four voices.
As you're going up the scale, when you hit the half-step intervals, like between B and C and E and F, do you play a different? Is your finger positioning different when you're going up the scale on those half-step intervals as opposed to going down the scale? It should be slightly different, shouldn't it?
I guess the angle of the hand and the fingers will be slightly different because of the momentum going in one direction or the other. Consciously, I'm not. When I play, I don't necessarily. I'm not conscious of any difference.
I got you.
But there are probably violin professors out there that will have a very strong opinion on all this stuff.
Oh, Jeff Lorber's going to call, and I know he's going to say everything I've saying today is wrong, but I invite that, Jeff. You owe me lunch. So when you go to different countries, do you, like say if you're in Japan, would you tune 440?
No, actually, I lived in Japan and started my career as a studio musician in Japan, and they actually are more around 442. And so much so that when I came back to America to live and work, it took me about a year to kind of get used to. I was playing sharp, basically. Because everyone was tuned more towards 440 here. So it was definitely a culture shock of sorts to come back this way.
Do you adhere to that concept that 440 was started by Adolf Hitler after World War II, which is true? And that
because you talked to him and found that out, correct?
Well, he was on the show.
Oh, that's right. I wasn't there.
This is taking a turn.
I think can't remember. But prior to that, we were kind of like 432, right? We were a little like.
You know what? I can't say that I'm an expert on that history.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it seems like when a lot of the music was written, it was written a lot flatter than we are now. So a fugue in A minor, we're probably playing it in G flat, A sharp minor.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's something I'm actually interested in investigating.
And what about somebody like Jerry Hay who's got perfect pitch? I mean, that must drive him crazy. He probably hates Hitler.
But does he have perfect pitch 440 or perfect pitch in
Well,
Europe
yeah,
or Japan?
I mean, if you got perfect pitch, it can't be.
His geographical perfect pitch.
If you got perfect 440, you can't go to Japan, can
Right.
you?
You can't leave your house, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Email me, Jerry. I'd like to know that.
As you prepare Batter's Box, quick question for you. With the advent of home studios and all that kind of stuff, do you guys always have to be in a studio environment to do your thing perfectly, or do you find yourself okay? You can
No. I mean, we love working in studio. I mean, Capitol Records, East West, Linda's studio. She bought the old Royal Tone Studios. Henson. I mean, we've even worked at Abbey Road once before.
But
I mean, those are heavenly places to work and reverent. But I have a home studio. A lot can be done. I mean, there is the bedroom recording movement.
Sure.
I don't necessarily adhere to that. But there's a lot that can be done in unconventional spaces.
Right. I was curious about that.
Playing something like Coachella in front of 100,000 people.
That's unconventional.
Well, we didn't have 100,000 people. We had about 15,000 people at our. I counted.
But the other 85 were just caught in traffic.
We were early in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But there is something to that. I mean, it's a rush.
I miss playing live sometimes.
How's your arm, buddy? You ready for Batter's Box?
I assembled the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Deans, I had everybody, Cole, Changor.
Put together the offensive attack.
I even let Eric kind of prepare his demise.
Okay.
And chip in a couple.
Okay. That's gracious of you.
Yeah.
Fire away,
He got on the
sir.
phone with Tommy Lasorda for a second.
That's Dave. He prepares for
This
this.
is badass Batter's Box.
Yeah.
Fire away.
Mozart or Mahler?
I'm going to go with Mozart.
Nice.
Wrong answer. 440, 432, 442.
440.
Right answer. Zeppelin or Radiohead?
That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
That's tough.
In the case of the Section Quartet, I will go with Radiohead.
Okay.
Check this, Herb.
Okay.
You can be proud of me.
I will.
Pernambuco or carbon fiber?
That's a tough one too. So that's basically, for layman's terms, carbon fiber or wood bows. I would say wood, but with the Section Quartet, we do use carbon fiber bows for several reasons. One is we can really dig in and get pretty loud with those things when necessary. They also they're basically unbreakable. So on the road or in a club or at Coachella.
He's a classical guy. I can't shut him off.
But I am proud of you.
Okay.
I am proud of you.
Both is my answer to that.
Okay. Pernambuco, you said, though, was endangered, right?
It is, yeah.
That one.
Microphone.
Ribbon. Ribbon mics.
For strings?
For strings, absolutely. Can't have too many ribbons.
Quartet or orchestra?
Quartet.
Lennon or McCartney?
You told me you're going to make fun of me either way I answer. Well, here's what I would say. When I was younger, I would say McCartney because of and when I mean younger, I mean a kid, because of the melodies and the songs he wrote. But for attitude, Lennon.
Okay, good answer.
Great answer.
I got this from Allen Iverson. Practice.
Yes. No. Yes. Yeah. I shoot for daily practice.
Oh,
Do you?
okay.
Yeah. Even if it's just a half hour of scales.
Right. Wow.
Okay, and you can cuss on this next one. Drop an F-bomb if you wish.
I probably won't.
Synth strings.
Beep.
Right. Beep them.
Do they have a place?
There is a place, of
Okay.
course. There is a place. My favorite era of synth strings is the 80s, and when I mean that, I don't necessarily mean all electronic stuff, but like Benmont Tench was using cool synth sounds with the Heartbreakers. That
Tom
kind of
Petty
stuff
was
to me,
nice.
I love where it's just one note, like
Yeah.
holding through the chorus,
Yeah.
but there's something about the tone of that machine. I don't even know what machine it was, but in terms of synth strings, if you always have a choice. Let me put it. Let me rephrase that. You always have a choice, and you should always go with humans.
Would we ever hear a Section album that had a synth string part on it? That'd be kind of cool. That'd make
that'd be
headlines.
arch. Yeah.
that's true.
Well, you never know. We were talking about the Fuzzbox record. We did a cover of Muse's "Time Is Running Out" on that, and if you listen carefully, there's timpani on some parts of that song. A real timpani. Linda, we brought in real timpani, and we.
Okay.
I played drums in high school a little bit, so I was playing timpani on the record.
When I was listening to that last night, I thought that maybe somebody was hitting a cello or something with their hand, but it's actually a timpani.
It was timpani. Yeah.
How'd you do, Herb?
He did great. So did you. Refreshed pitches. I'm proud of you. But he handled it so well. It's just, Eric's got this sort of smooth kind of swagger thing. It's kind of a string.
He's classical.
Yeah, exactly. It's classical. He's got a classical, and his batting stance was classical, and so was his follow through. So good job.
I always thought I was a little more rock and roll, but.
Well, you have that edge, but for batter's box, you went classical, and then. Let's fast forward to our man over in the corner office, brought to you by Studio at the Palms.
Yay!
Mr.
Zoe.
Chongor Gans is sitting over there. Chongor, do you have a question or two for our friend?
Oh,
Yeah, we do.
if you go to the studio at the Palms, be sure and look. My signature and name is on the wall.
Oh, cool. Very cool. And same at the Blackbird Academy. Chongor, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How are you, man?
Shoot something toward us.
Don't ad lib, Chongor.
Just go straight ahead. Yeah.
This first one's from Nikolaj Nielsen. What kind of advice do you have to getting work as an online session musician? How would you push your services to get noticed by bands and producers?
An online session musician?
You know, I in terms of being an online session musician, I really wouldn't know where to start.
It's a fair question.
I know there are different systems out there, websites, and that do that kind of stuff. There's been talk over the years about getting involved with some of them, but we haven't really done that.
Just in terms
us
of
too,
a
actually.
general question, just take out the word online and maybe give an answer. Then
Well, in order to become, or how to become a studio musician, it's
Well, just describe your arc a little bit, your
Yeah.
pathway arc.
I had a very I have two arcs because I started in Japan. In Japan, it was a complete luck of the draw. I met the right person who had been a studio concertmaster for years and had given it up to become an arranger. So he went cold turkey, stopped playing sessions, and just wanted to be an arranger. And I met him. He was working part time at a violin shop, and he got a gig arranging strings. He called the concertmaster, the contractor for that job, and said, "I met this guy Eric. He wants to break in here in Tokyo." So it just kind of worked out that way, and I played the session. I guess I did all right, and I started getting calls.
I guess the thing to take away for the question from this gentleman is you were willing to move. You were willing to do whatever it took. You took a big chance by leaving.
I was actually living in a small town in Japan. I was an exchange student from UCLA. It was how I ended up there. So I was living 6 hours from Tokyo, and so I decided I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be a musician. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to move to Tokyo. So I did. I did a couple of reconnaissance trips, so to speak. But on one of those trips, I met the right guy, and it was completely random.
Never know, do you, Herb?
You just never know. But coming back to Los Angeles, I knew a few people here, not many, but it was playing casuals, playing weddings, playing church gigs, playing in orchestra, pickup orchestras.
Yep.
And one thing led to another, and you start getting called by contractors for recording sessions, and then it just builds from there.
Step outside the box. Chongor, give us one more.
From Andrew Bosserman. What are some of your favorite resources that you've utilized to become a better arranger?
My ears again,
There you go.
listening.
There you go.
I have a good friend who's a drummer who we go buy vinyl records together, and we spend way too much money on him, but he calls it research. And it really is. I mean, you sit there and you listen. It's not necessarily listening just to the string parts for me. It could be the piano part, it could be the guitar part, but I love listening to great string arrangements. But yeah, I think you just have to find the stuff that inspires you.
Yeah.
Corner office question real quick.
Very quickly.
Why is it that classical music always has to have a massive amount of technical proficiency, and you've got to study for 800 years to do it? Why can't it be accessible to the common man more so? It seems like it got hijacked by the intellectuals.
Yeah. Again, there's probably a history behind that would be interesting to really find out. But I often wonder the same. That's one reason I became a little disillusioned with playing in orchestras 15, 20 years ago, and liked the world of studio work and rock and pop, because you're allowed to, well, again, I'm going to get hate mail for this, but you're allowed to put a little more emotion into modern music and contemporary music. Whereas in classical, you're trying to hit this standard. You're trying to play it perfectly. You're trying to not make a mistake. Most importantly, do not make a mistake. And there's no room for the happy accidents. It's self-expression, but also the happy accidents.
Right.
And when you're a soloist, obviously,
I guess there's room for both,
right?
Herb?
Well, yeah, and I think his approach allows, what I like about what you're doing, and actually would love to ask you to come back. And also for us to potentially work out coming and shooting what you guys do. Could we be open to that?
Yeah.
Because I think when you're able to show our audience, and even us, these permutations where you're shifting the paradigm and sort of taking something traditional and redefining it, that's really where we're at today. And that's what makes for exciting music and those happy accidents and those signatures. So Dave called me last night and said, this is going to be a great hour. He was 100% correct. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time.
Please come back.
I will. Thank you very much. Thank
I'm
you for
telling you,
having me.
this was a wonderful hour.
Ball.
Dave, take us home, buddy.
Hey guys, back when I was 18 or 19, I had an experience of listening to, I think it was the Moscow Symphony. It was one of the top symphonies in the world at the time. And when they hit that first note, it scared me. I saw them in the same auditorium I'd seen The Who in a week before, and they were louder than The Who. There's something about, let's call it classical. And by the way, classical is not the perfect term for what we're talking about today, but you know what we mean when we say that. Check out some stuff and start with the aggressive stuff. Start with the stuff that has a little bit of attitude to it. Like some of the Romantics are good. Some of the guys that were more nationalist writers, like Rimsky-Korsakov, some of that era.
That's a great one, actually. A great composer to start with.
Yeah. And just don't approach it with anything other than just to be entertained. And it's a great education. Bruce Swedien said that you should always go see a live classical concert just to kind of understand what instruments sound like. And I think that we didn't touch everything we wanted to today, and you have to do a little homework on this one. But please do, because the rewards are just really outpacing the effort that it would take to do that, okay? See you next week.